Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with the Outer Worlds Blind. Last time I got a package. Oh, it's a severed hand. Well, that's certainly ominous.
Hawthorne, if you're getting this, something's happened to me. Got mixed up in some shady business on Gorgon. Should have known better. But I landed on something big. And now this job's an itch I can't stop scratching. There's a whole research compound left to the Sprats. I think I'm close to figuring out why. But something dangerous is closer to me. Got the job through one Minnie Ambrose. Top runger who just came into some money, was offering a hefty bid card for qualified help. Trust me, her money's good. Talk to Minnie. Take the job. If I ain't gonna live to see the payday, might as well be you. Consider us even, old pal.
Well, that fellow certainly seemed trustworthy.
I've gotten jobs from some unusual sources, but this is a first. Congratulations, Captain.
I don't mean to sound prim, Captain, but there's gotta be a better way to ask someone to do you a favor.
I just want to say, we gotta take this job. This is the closest I ever been to starring in a serial drama. Only thing we're missing is a couple cameras and a soundtrack.
At least this won't be boring.
Ada, what the hell is going on?
Lucky Montoya owed Captain Hawthorne a considerable debt. I believe this is what humans refer to as payback. Captain, the message contains landing coordinates for a small asteroid in the Charybdis cluster. It was recently registered to a Wilhelmina Ambrose.
Who was this guy, Ada? Are we going to talk about the severed arm on the kitchen table?
Now, I, for one, was hoping to do the exact opposite of that.
What? Do you want to shake its hand?
Yeah, can we talk about the arm? I want to take bets on how the guy lost it. My money's on cannibals.
That ain't really that fella's arm, right? It's gotta be a dummy. Or a toy?
Well, I'm not cleaning it up.
Cleanup service request processed. Disposal of human arm from the Unreliable's cargo hold will commence in the immediate future.
Simulating disgust. How distasteful. Humans eat there. I'm not touching it. Etc. Lucky Montoya had a statistically significant tendency to encounter situations of extreme danger.
Well, yeah. I doubt this guy lost his arm filling out paperwork.
He was also the fourth best paid freelancer in the system.
Only the fourth?
There are several hundred freelancers operating in Halcyon. Considering the numbers, Mr. Montoya ranked among the top percentile. This had less correlation with his measured aptitudes, which rank at or below average, than with a pattern of fortunate circumstances.
You mean luck?
Luck does not exist, Captain. Nevertheless, I am programmed to agree with your assessment. I have transferred the coordinates for Ambrose Manor to your navigation terminal. We can travel there when you are ready.
Hawthorne, if you're getting this, something's happened to me. Got mixed up in some shady business on Gorgon. Should have known better. But I landed on something big. And now this job's an itch I can't stop scratching. There's a whole research compound left to the Sprats. I think I'm close to figuring out why.
Okay, I pretty much listened to it already, so... remote asteroid home to marauders, smugglers, and an abandoned Space's Choice facility.
Welcome to Ambrose Manor. We were not expecting company. Please follow. Do not stray from the path.
Don't worry, little fella. We're mostly law-abiding folk.
Are you going to walk off?
Oh no. We should check to see he's all right.
It was kind of funny.
Query. Are you upside down?
Can I help it? Nope. Groundskeeper Journal, Daily Routines, Sweep the Tranquility Garden from Mrs. Olivia, Oil the fish for Mr. Harvey, repeat. When they hired me on as a groundskeeper, I assumed there would be grounds to keep. I'm not even allowed inside the manor. Everyone told me the Ambrose family keeps to themselves, but they are a bunch of hermits, save for the little one. Guess I ought to find a hobby. Mr. Harvey dropped his keycard in the pond. I'll hold on to it in case he ever comes looking, but I won't go near the house. Wouldn't want to get between Mrs. Olivia and her research.
This unit is under.
Those big empty windows. Feels like the building's watching me. Oh, Law, I'm getting goosebumps.
At the very least, there ought to be something worth stealing in there.
Well, I guess that explains oiling the fish.
Okay, maybe not.
So empty. Oh, Captain, something here don't feel right.
User Ambrose attempted to log into the system. Final attempt failed. Locking terminal for 5 days. User Ambrose attempted to log into the system. 1 try remaining, 2 tries remaining. User O Ambrose activated dinner time protocol. Meal was woolly loaf. User Ambrose activated dinner time protocol. Meal was tripkill salad. User O Ambrose activated dinner time protocol. Meal was borscht roast. Corruption detected in earlier logs. Omitting corrupted entries. Pantry stock. Last automated check was error. Sell tuna fillets. Stock is spoiled. Please replenish. Woolly cow steak. Stock is spoiled. Please replenish. Mock apple. Stock is spoiled. Please replenish. Borscht and beans. 13 cans. Mock apple shake. 9 bottles. Goodbye letter. Dear mother and father, I have paced the halls of this gilded cage long enough. Since you won't permit me help the family business, I am leaving to start a business of my own. Am I too young for such ambitions? Perhaps. But this is the risk you take when you fashion a daughter in your image. Byzantium will welcome you with open arms. Won't that be a new sensation? If I ever return, it will be to claim my rightful spot at the head of the family. Minnie.
Join me for a drink, Mr. Whoever you are. So who the devil are you?
Matthias Stone, captain of the Unreliable.
You don't say. Well, make yourself at home, Captain. I'm sure we have much to discuss. Do you see that glowing chunk of space rock? That's Gorgon. My birthright, my burden, and the bane of my existence. I hate to drink alone, and this is my third. So join me in raising a glass. To Gorgon.
Are you Minnie Ambrose?
That's right. And I take it you're the type who skips formalities, so let's get down to business. Now, what brings you to my house, handsome? I take it you didn't come all this way for the beverages, the starry skies, or the pleasant company.
I'm here about the severed arm.
A severed arm? How positively ghoulish. You know this is a private residence, not a curio shop?
Does the late name Lucky Montoya mean anything to you?
Lucky Montoya is my personal freelancer. Fascinating man. Very brooding and theatrical. Always staring into space and twirling a bullet over his knuckles.
He's definitely not doing that anymore.
But if something happened to him... Oh dear. I suppose that makes him my former freelancer now?
Sorry about your loss.
Thank you. But the people in my orbit come and go all the time. Occupational hazard. What a time for his luck to run out. We were in the middle of something grand, and I really can't afford another setback.
Let me guess, you need someone to finish whatever Lucky started?
Excellent deduction. I can tell I found the right man for the job. How would you like to be my new freelancer? There's been a recent vacancy, and I think you're well suited to the job.
Remember, play hard to get. That's negotiation.
You offer work to everyone who breaks into your home? Must be some kind of Byzantine tradition I ain't know about.
I'm looking for someone rough around the edges. A gorgeous, dashing scoundrel type. Incidentally, someone good with their hands.
Are you seriously offering me the dead guy's job?
I don't think he'll mind if that's your concern.
Well, give me the details and I'll let you know.
My mother, Dr. Olivia Ambrose, worked for Spacer's Choice at the Gorgon Research Facility. She was brilliant, the top scientist in her field, until tragedy struck. One day, Spacer's Choice shut down all research and evacuated Gorgon. Everyone had to scramble or risk getting left behind. It was chaos. Employees fled for their lives. Mother never made it home. I'm told she wasn't the only casualty that fateful day.
It must have been real hard on you, losing your mother all of a sudden like that. I'm sorry to hear it, ma'am.
Thank you. Ambrose ladies are supposed to be resilient to the unexpected, but this was especially hard on me. Mother's name has since been dragged through the mud. Spacer's Choice blames her for the collapse of Project Gorgon, and I just know they're lying.
What did they say about her?
Everything you can imagine and more. Dereliction of duty, circulating anti-corporate memos, taking longer than average coffee breaks. The list goes on. Mother would not have allowed Project Gorgon to fail. Something happened on that asteroid, and my family took the fall for it.
And what did you send Lucky to find? What do you think happened on Gorgon?
I don't know. And Spacer's Choice won't say. They don't discuss anything that tarnishes their brand. Gorgon has a dark history. The project fell apart. Personnel were shuffled across the system. With Mother gone, now I'm all that's left.
Where's your father in all of this?
Father lost more than his job on Gorgon. I'll say no more than that. The asteroid may look like a glittering jewel, but I assure you the resemblance ends there. Gorgon is poisonous to the core. One might even say cursed.
Tell me about your mother.
I admired Mother, but we weren't close. She disapproved of everything about me, really. I couldn't measure up to her example. She didn't make time for us. I remember thinking that she never wanted a child, and never forgave me for being one, naive and irresponsible as I was.
Maybe there's another side to that story.
No doubt. I only wish Mother was here to tell it in her own words. Mother worked herself to the bone. She wanted to make the colony a better place, no matter who or what got sacrificed along the way. She never spared a thought for those of us who cherished her, who suffered for her idea of progress.
Did you two ever get along?
We got close once. When I was a child, I enjoyed looking over Mother's shoulder, playing backseat chemist while she peered into a microscope. One day, she told me to leave before I broke something. Then, I got mad and broke something. Typical night in the Ambrose house.
Oh, that hurts my heart to hear, ma'am. My dad was real dedicated to his work, too, but he always let me help. Made me feel, I don't know, special. Like I had something to offer. I wish you could have had that with your mother.
Mother and Gorgon were made for each other. I had the misfortune to be stuck in the middle. I need your help, Captain. Project Gorgon killed Mother and disgraced the Ambrose name, and no one has been held accountable. Spacer's Choice buried the past like a dirty secret.
Are you interested in justice, or revenge, or both?
Neither. It's vindication I want. Whatever happened on Gorgon wasn't Mother's fault. I simply need the evidence to prove it. We're going to drag the truth kicking and screaming into the light. Even if it means bringing ruin and humiliation to Spacer's Choice. All the evidence I need should be in Mother's journal. You can find it in her office on Gorgon, in the heart of the old research facility.
I have some questions about the job.
I'm not surprised. Between the family drama and the corporate conspiracy, it must feel like you've stepped on a landmine. Speak freely, Captain.
Why did you wait before starting the investigation?
I didn't want to go anywhere near Gorgon. Once I exhausted all my options, the search led me back here. I even had Mother declared legally dead. Would you believe it took 5 years to process the paperwork?
Does her being legally dead help you somehow?
It isn't as bad as you make it sound, but technically, yes. Mother's body is still on Gorgon. No body means no death certificate, which means no inheritance. I killed Mother, just on paper, of course, so I could claim my inheritance. We wouldn't be standing here if I didn't have access to the family fortune. I once assumed the mansion and the money would be enough to redeem the Ambrose name. But even in Byzantium, prestige must be earned, and it can so easily be lost.
Are you saying you just want to break into high society?
You know, some people work hard just to break out.
Break back into high society, yes.
I thought you were trying to vindicate your mother.
I'm trying to do several things at once. None of them easy. The smear campaign against Mother was the work of cowards. I'm vindicating the family name for her, for the colony, and for my future.
What can you do for Halcyon?
At the very least, I can guarantee that we learn from our mistakes. A failure on the scale of Project Gorgon should never be allowed to happen. This colony is in trouble. The lunatics at Spacer's Choice are running the asylum, and we need better people to wield their influence. After Gorgon, I quickly discovered that the Ambrose name was cursed, for lack of a better term. I had no place among the decision-makers. No seat at the table.
That's Byzantium for you. Gossip-mongering's a bigger sport than tossball.
That is why I'm clearing the record and vindicating the Ambrose line. For Mother. For me. And for the generations who will one day inherit Halcyon.
Do you think your plan will work?
I know it will.
How did the investigation get Lucky killed?
You know as much as I do, I'm afraid. Spacer's Choice abandoned Gorgon, but the asteroid is far from unoccupied. Between the marauders, the wildlife, and whatever escaped the labs, danger abounds.
Escaped the labs?
Toward the end of the project, I heard Mother grumble about some test subjects running amok outside of their enclosure. I wish I could tell you more. Just watch yourself. If you aren't careful, you stand to lose more than an arm.
What's good is your Matter journal to you now?
I suspect it will prove that corporate greed and incompetence were to blame for the calamity at Gorgon, and not Mother. Mother was a brilliant woman. Difficult, cold, unreachable even, but brilliant.
Could Spacer's Choice have taken the journal?
Spacer's Choice evacuated in a hurry, leaving a fortune's worth of equipment in their wake. Mother's journal would have escaped their notice. This is my last hope of redeeming the Ambrose name. I don't like my chances, but I have to try. And I need help. Your help. I believe that covers it all. Are you ready to get started? We mustn't allow the trail to get cold.
Well, if Spacer's Choice is hiding something, I'll get to the bottom of it.
I believe you're the first person to ever side with me against the corporation. It's a refreshing change. When you reach Gorgon, pack a weapon you trust. The corporate lockdown hasn't stopped the wilderness from squirming in through the cracks.
I'll be careful.
There's a little saloon near Gorgon's landing pad, the Sprat Shack. Lucky was renting a room, so if you want to follow his trail, that would be the place to start.
I think I've heard of that place. Cheap whiskey, rough crowd. You'll love it.
Oh, you think maybe they got a little mascot? Like a sprat in a tiny hat?
Just so we understand each other, money is no object. I'm willing to squander the family fortune if you get me what I want. Between your payment and any salvage you happen across, you'll walk away from this rich enough to buy a mansion of your own. How does that sound?
What's the catch? There's always a catch.
The catch? No one's ever done this before, and the only person who tried is a corpse. Believe me, that's enough. Here's your nav key, Captain. Safe travels.
I'll be in touch.
A word of advice before you go, Captain. Trust no one. Mother's office is in the heart of the Gorgon facility. You're free to salvage anything that isn't nailed down. I only want what's mine.
Mysterious heiress, unexpected gainful employment. It's like something out of a detective serial.
It's not theft if she's giving us permission.
I don't know what kind of mess Spacer's Choice made here, but it figures they'd leave it to someone else to clean up.
Last long on Gorgon unprepared.
I wasn't expecting there to be people.
You looking for supply, stranger? Let's stock up here. If you run low on bullets out in Gorgon's far reaches, there ain't no one around here liable to help you out. Let me know if you're looking for something particular.
I take it that the evacuation alarm isn't urgent?
Huh? Oh, you don't gotta worry about that. It's got something to do with that scrapped Spacer's Choice project from way back. Damn alarm's been hollering at us for 5 years if it's been a day. You know, I don't dream anymore. It's all, please evacuate in an orderly fashion.
I'm impressed that Spacer's Choice built something that lasted this long.
I think that alarm's gonna bang on for all time. Ain't nothing doing that control terminal in. I know, 'cause even Von Hoffman couldn't bash it in. And I seen that tough son of a gun throw a man clean across the Sprat Shack one time like he were a toss ball.
What can you tell me about Project Gorgon?
Only that Spacer's Choice shut it down in a big hurry. From what I heard, some of their folks got left behind even. Don't seem like the project ended well.
So this is Gorgon.
You mean you came out to this asteroid without knowing nothing about it? Me too. Heard it was wild here and couldn't resist. Trouble is, if you wander off to somewhere you oughtn't be, like way out in Gorgon's farthest reaches, odds are slimmer of your bits finding their way to my pockets. If you want my advice, stick close to the Sprat Shack, unless you fancy having your limbs torn off and eaten.
I can handle myself.
All right, you know you better than I do. Just be sure you watch out for the Marauders. That's the #1 thing. Oh, and the Mance. You watch out for Marauders, Mance, and Charles from accounting, and you'll probably be fine.
Who's Charles?
Only the meanest Marauder on Gorgon, and also anywhere else. That man is crazier than a bag of canids and twice as likely to bite. He will bust your head open like an overripe mock apple if he so much as sees you. I ain't joking. He'll snap you in half like stale bread noodles.
Thanks for the warning.
No, you don't get it. Charles from accounting is like... Imagine if you took 3 of the most howling mad Marauders you could find and mashed them together. That's Charles.
You mean he's got the strength of 3 men?
That and a rocket launcher.
Go back to that part about the rocket launcher?
Did I not mention that? Right, sorry. He's got a rocket launcher.
Is he any good with it?
I don't know. Hard to guess how many he's killed, given the explosions tend to obliterate any bodies. I'm joking. No one bothers looking for bodies.
I'm starting to wonder if there ain't a person on this rock entirely out of their minds.
Look, long story short, you do not fuck with Chuck. Best to avoid the Marauder camp entirely. That's my 2 bits on the matter. Found a pickaxe in the mine like none I've ever seen before. Could be awful useful if you're the violent type. Let's have a chat. All right, inspection time. Look at my eyes for as long as you can without blinking. Starting now. Good. Look up. Now look down.
This is stupid. Is that some kind of a neurological exam?
You wouldn't say that if you were in my shoes. Now are you gonna cooperate? Look up, then look down.
Alright.
You're doing swell. Now, name and occupation.
Matthias Stone, captain of the Unreliable.
Good enough for me. You're cleared to pass. That was a sanity check. If you had changed like the others, it'd be in your eyes. You'd also be drooling, cursing, and making a mess of the place. Welcome to the Sprat Shack. You can head on downstairs.
What do you mean when you said people had changed?
Every day, salvagers and scrappers set out to comb the ruins and make their fortune. The ones who come back, they aren't always the same men or women who left. They change. Never for the better.
What happens when people change?
First, they get real twitchy and paranoid, shouting at folks who aren't there. Then they smell like they soiled themselves, on account of how they soiled themselves. After that, they're gone. Nothing but animals wearing human skin. Seen it happen myself. It's never pretty.
Where exactly am I?
This is the Sprat Shack, the most remote watering hole in the system. Rule number 1, no fighting. Rule number 2, wipe your feet on the way downstairs. We're the only hospitable place on this rock. I want to keep it that way. That's why we have rule number 3. When people change, they stay outside, where they belong. Just don't ask me to dance.
What do you do around here?
Bouncer, bodyguard, law enforcer. I make sure the Sprat Shack gets only the highest caliber of clientele.
That's us. And I thought this place was gonna be fun.
We get a lot of brand-loyal corporate types, and a lot of cutthroat freelancer types. Both sides have their share of dirty scoundrels. And I hate dirt.
What kind of people come to the Sprat Shack?
This is a sublight bar, so most of our regulars come to plunder the old labs. The facility's locked up behind miles of red tape, so progress is slow. A lot of time to drink and reevaluate, then venture out and try again.
What do you know about Gorgon?
Something bad happened here. Spacer's Choice was developing chemicals. The kind with nasty side effects. Marauders outnumber the rest of us 10-1. Either they came from Gorgon, or something draws them here. I don't know which is worse. This place is under a dark cloud, stranger. That's all I know. If you want the history of the Sprat Shack, talk to Lex behind the bar. Stay cool.
Smell that? Cheap whiskey and stale cigarettes. My kind of place.
Oh, ugh. This place smells like Felix's birth.
That was my salvage, Trixie. You had no right to it then, and you've no right to it now.
I risked my life sneaking around Marauders to claim that wreck. And I didn't see your name on it.
Now you've done it. Eat fist!
All right, that's enough! This is a family establishment! You want to make a mess? You make it outside!
But this was personal, Lex. It's a question of salvage. That wreck was gonna make me a fortune.
Now you two listen, this is my place. While you're in the Sprat Shack, you'll sit quietly, or I'll forbid you to come here at all. Is that understood?
Fair's fair. I'll have a stout, and we'll settle this later on our own terms.
It's no good to leave a fight unresolved. If I don't do something, these two are gonna be at each other's throats.
You could intervene if you'd like.
You'd do that for me?
Sure.
I appreciate it all the same. You'll be paid for your time and expertise, of course. Freddy, Trixie, go on and make your case to the generous stranger.
I'll start, seeing as I'm the one who's been most wronged in this equation.
State your names for the tavern.
Oh, very formal. Freddy the Scab, freelancer for sublight salvage and shipping, same as my father before me.
Junkyard Trixie, also a salvage freelancer, though I've been at it longer than Freddy.
So, just up the road and due east of here, there's a shipwreck lodged in the mountainside, right? I staked my claim on that wreck. Then I wandered in for a drink. An hour later, Trixie swaggers in bragging about her salvage. Ugh, the nerve of some people.
What's your side of the story, Trixie?
When I found the shipwreck, there were no salvage mark. See, the whole area was teeming with bloodthirsty marauders. So I snuck around and added my tag, clear as day, so no drunken idiots could claim the salvage out from under me, Freddy.
For the record, when I heard the marauders coming, I left. Trixie must have set her mark down after me.
Quit leading the prosecution, Hullhead. Anyway, that's my story, sir.
What mark did you leave at the salvage, Trixie?
I drew an X in the dirt, with my toe.
Couldn't the marauders have walked over it by now, or the wind blown it away?
Wouldn't surprise me in the least, but that doesn't mean it ain't mine.
In all my years, I've never heard a more contentious argument. I don't envy your shoulders for bearing the weight of responsibility. You've heard it from them both. So, who gets the salvage?
Well, that's a colossal waste of time.
I'm not drunk. You're drunk.
It's been a day, let me tell you.
Sorry about Freddy and Trixie. When they're not fighting over salvage, they're fighting over the bed sheets at night.
Those two are a couple?
They like to blow off steam during work hours, but as soon as they clock out, they turn into a pair of kittens. Welcome to the Sprat Shack. First one's on the house, and I won't even water it down. What'll it be?
Nothing.
So, you just wandered in for the genteel conversation. Suit yourself. I assume you're here for salvage.
Actually, not exactly, but can you explain what you mean?
Most of my regulars are sublight scavengers. They pick over the ruins of Gorgon, spend their earnings at the bar, and head back out the next day. Vicious cycle, but that's life. You're the first new face I've seen in a while.
You know anyone by the name of Lucky Montoya?
Lucky? Sure, I knew him. He could get a little dramatic at times, but he was a good guy. Heard he took on a dangerous job. Spent a lot of time coming and going from the Office of Creative Incubation, just down the road. The way he talked about the job, you just knew Lucky had hit pay dirt. Not that I was jealous. Around here, that sort of luck can be hazardous to your health. Awful shame about what happened to him.
And where was Lucky? What happened?
You really want to hear my story? Law, most everyone around here is sick to death of it by now. Last I saw of Lucky was a few days ago. I went outside for a smoke and a stroll, and I saw this wild canid dragging a bloody limb. So I kicked the canid, scared it off. Get this, the canid was chewing on an honest-to-law human arm. Lucky's arm. Anyway, the arm was clutching a phonograph that mentioned someone named Alex Hawthorne. I did some poking around, and this Hawthorne has a reputation among the salvagers who frequent the bar. So I packaged up the arm nice and tidy and sent it care of the Halcyon parcel service. They even gave me a discount on the hazardous waste removal stamp.
Well, the arm made it to me. I'm Hawthorne's next of kin, sort of.
No kidding. And now you're here? Colony feels smaller than you'd think some days. I'm glad I was here to see this confluence of events, you know? The stars really aligned on this one. And here I am, smack dab in the middle.
Why bother sending the arm at all?
I figured Hawthorne would want to know what happened to his pal. Help Lucky get his affairs in order, you know. Oh, I hate to see people go with unfinished business.
Where was Lucky staying?
3rd floor. Once I figured he wasn't coming back to pay his tab, I left his room unlocked to air it out. You can help yourself to anything you left behind. Fair warning, I've been letting the regulars use it for a quick lie down. Just wash your hands when you're done. Trust me.
What do you know about Gorgon?
Spacer's Choice used to brew pharmaceuticals in these parts. That's why the asteroid smells like an old gym sock. They say adrenatime came from here, just down the road at the old R&D lab. Very hush-hush back in the day.
Any idea why Spacer's Choice shut Gorgon down?
I doubt anyone knows the full story. One day the evacuation order went out. Grunts and lab coats scrambled to get anywhere but Gorgon. And the weirdest thing of all, adrenatime still hit the market. Me, I never touched the stuff. To each their own, but I think it's dangerous.
Why would any of your regulars have more info?
Roscoe might tell you more. He spent some time around here before the bar opened up. I trust him well enough. There's always Leonora, my favorite customer over in the storage room on the 2nd floor. Keeps to herself and always closes out her tab.
What's Roscoe's story?
He's been here since opening day. I think he told me he was some kind of journalist. He got left behind when Spacer's Choice pulled out. And I guess no one's coming to get him.
Why did he get left behind?
He didn't tell me and I didn't ask. I'm his bartender, not his human resources rep. If you believe the chatter, a lot of good folks got left behind, and a lot of bad folks made it out. Sometimes that's all there is to it.
Now, what can you tell me about Leonora?
Nice lady. Been coming around a lot these past few months. She isn't with Sublight, but seems to know the lay of the land better than anyone. She spends most of her days drinking alone. I think she's looking to hire someone. If you're open to a side gig.
Do you know if she spoke with Lucky Montoya at all?
Now that you mention it, I thought I saw those two sharing stories over a pint. Didn't think twice about it. I don't speak ill of the dead, but Leonora deserves better company. That Lucky was no good for her. What are friends for, eh?
Salvagers must be making a fortune off Gorgon.
Damn right we are. We've got drugs, scrap metal, prototype weapons, drugs, money, and more drugs. When Spacer's Choice evacuated, everyone dropped their gear and ran. Most of it stayed where it fell, and all of it is up for grabs. Of course, the real treasure is whatever's locked up in the old facility. Until someone figures a way to crack it open, we're just sifting through dirt. You got it, bub.
So you run this place?
Yes and no. The Sprat Shack used to be a shipping and receiving warehouse during the old Project Gorgon days. When Spacer's Choice pulled their guys off-world, Sublight moved in to salvage what we could, and they put me in charge.
So Sublight owns the Sprat Shack now?
Yes and no. Rumor has it there's a Sprat wandering around the Groundbreaker, and he's the legal owner of the Sprat Shack. Hagen's idea.
Dare I ask why a Sprat owns this bar?
See, Hagen didn't want a paper trail that led back to her, so she gave the bar to the Sprat. If there were any legal problems with this place, the Sprat would do the time.
You know, they do something similar in Byzantium. Fancier system, but same idea.
You think a Sprat could own Edgewater? Oh, imagine one wearing Mr. Thompson's little hat!
Anyway, that's what the paperwork says. I don't make the rules.
Yeah, that's monumentally stupid, because obviously animals don't have legal rights. Like, they couldn't own property. Is this arrangement even legal?
I know there's paperwork backing it up. You put enough stamps and staples on anything, I'm pretty sure it's legal by default. The beautiful thing is, no one could tell Matt Spratt apart from an ordinary vermin. I think that's kind of the point, to send the authorities on a wild Spratt chase.
I guess fascinating. Thanks for the legal insight.
As far as business arrangements go, this one's a head-scratcher, but they say it's all above board, so that's what matters.
And does the Spacer's choice mind that you're squatting in their warehouse?
Yes and no. We're doing a lot more than squatting. We're classing up the joint, keeping the riffraff outside where it belongs. They didn't even serve drinks until I arrived. Talk about wasted potential.
Can you answer any of my questions without starting with yes and no?
Yes. And no. Again, that one was Hagen's idea.
How do you get supplies in and out?
Thirsty people come and go from all over the colony, mostly on the way to somewhere better. Some are well-connected, and not everyone pays with bits. That's how we get the unconventional goods anyhow. Sublight keeps us well-stocked with the essentials, by which I mean booze. Come back when you're thirsty.
I wouldn't get too close to that railing. Just in case.
You think the folks here like strangers? Because some of them are looking at us like maybe not.
Jerome would have loved this place. You don't look like one of the salvagers, no? Don't really seem like the type. You've got the look of someone who's traveled far to get here, and whose journey's far from over.
What makes you say that?
Confidence. The scavengers around here, they're faking it. You're the real deal. I don't know if you're bound for the old ruins, but in case you are, can you look into something? I'd do it myself, but of course, the marauders would eat me alive.
Depends on what you need.
Looking for something out there. Been paying Sublight to help me, but they haven't made much progress.
Something must be valuable.
It is to me, but apparently it's junk to Sublight. My husband and I worked on Gorgon during the good times. Jerome was on maintenance duty. I cleaned out test tubes till they sparkled.
Where's Jerome now?
Nowhere good, that's for sure. In his final hours, Gorgon was a war zone. Violence broke out in the labs. The hills were full of marauders. You couldn't take a leisurely stroll without an armed escort. When the order came through to evacuate, non-essential personnel drew a lottery to see who would board the first wave of ships. Jerome won. I lost. As soon as I wasn't looking, Jerome switched our tickets and pushed me to the front of the line. I got to leave. Jerome stayed behind. I never saw him again.
What brings you back to Gorgon?
A broken heart, that's what. This place is greedy. Took my Jerome, and it would have taken me too. I just want one thing back. His old hip flask. I gave it to him the day we signed our marriage contract, and he carried it wherever he went. I know it's still here.
I'll keep an eye out.
You'd really do that for me? Law, and I'll bet you're worth 10 of those Sublight sprats. I don't have much, but if you help me, there's a little set aside for the occasion. Jerome used to drink with his buddies in a small kitchen opposite the maintenance shed. Might be a good place to check first. You find anything out there, you let me know.
Did you know Lucky Montoya?
That old flirt? Yeah, I let him buy me a drink or two. He talked my ear off about exciting jobs he'd done. All lies, I'm sure. He fell asleep with his head on my shoulder. That man had baggage like you wouldn't believe. I didn't think anyone could be lonelier than me.
Did he mention anything about the Gorgon research facility?
He bragged about having the key to some sort of maintenance area in one of the old buildings. I never saw it, so I just assumed he was talking himself up. He also asked if I wanted to see something gross and slimy he kept in his room, but I declined, politely.
Was he depressed?
He put on quite a front, but I think he was weary, like he'd seen too much and had too little to show for it. Guess we were kindred spirits in a way. Sure thing. My condolences if you two were close.
Tell me about your time on Gorgon.
The lab coats kept quiet about the project, but the air was charged with excitement. You could feel it wherever you went. They wanted to change the world. A tenfold boost to worker productivity with no side effects? Who wouldn't salivate at the thought? I don't know what went wrong, but when the shit hit the fan, it sprayed everyone in its path, including me.
Huh, who's this now? Wonder if they could... Nah, who am I kidding? Holy shit, a fresh face. Haven't seen your like in years. Don't know what brought you to the most dangerous corner of this solar system, pal, but you're welcome here. Oh, you talked to Lex yet? She tell you to keep it civil? You wouldn't guess to talk to her, but that lady's got a mean left hook.
I talked to her. She mentioned you were some kind of a journalist?
Some kind. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Got into reporting thinking I was gonna be some sort of public intellectual. What a joke. Spent 95% of my time playing stenographer to the board, and the rest writing puff pieces on the chairman's latest beard trim. Real life and death shit.
How did a Byzantium journalist end up in this backwater?
When the project fell apart, Spacer's Choice refused to extract me. They left me here to rot. Listen, I hate asking for handouts, but my back's against the wall here. If you're going back out there, do you think you'd be willing to do an old bastard a small favor?
Details first, promises later.
Told you I was a journalist, right? I was here on a story back when Project Gorgon was active. I was doing an interview series for Spacer's Choice. Recorded them all on these little portable phonographs. But when everything fell to shit, Spacer's Choice wouldn't let me leave. Terms of my reporting contract unmet, they said.
You hid them and now you want me to get them for you. That about cover it?
Right on the money. Look at me, I'm no fighter. I've never even touched a gun. But you're just the right amount of rough around the edges. Help me get my recordings back so I can finally get the hell out of here.
Alright. I'll get those recordings for you.
No shit? That's downright civilized of you. Alright. One of them I stashed in the Office of Creative Incubation, in the projector room on the 3rd floor. I gave another to my friend Birdie to keep in her apartment, just outside OCI's upper entrance. You'll find another in the chem lab. It's in the main lab storage room.
Alright, easy enough. The others?
The final one is in human inquiry and auditing. It's tucked behind a pipe in observation room B.
Got it, I'll be back. The observation room. Wouldn't someone have seen you?
What with the test subjects running loose, the researchers were surprisingly unobservant. Strength to your sword arm, friend. And thank you. Hey, there you are. Been wondering how you were doing. Did you manage to find those... Sure, I'm an open book.
What's the deal with Lucky Montoya?
Nice enough guy. Fashioned himself one of those professional gumshoes, like in the serials. They usually work for the board, rooting out dissidents and the like. Lucky though, he was freelance. Worked for anyone who paid, no matter their allegiance. You ask me, I think the guy just likes snooping around in folks' terminal messages.
Did Lucky tell you about anything about his investigation?
Next to nothing. He preferred to keep a tight lid on things, more dramatic that way. Not that he needed to keep secrets. Folks down here don't give two shits about anything but bits and beer.
Theatrical types tend to blab. You sure he didn't mention anything?
So sometimes Lucky'd get deep in his cups and start going on about the ghost of Gorgon. But I didn't think anything of it. Guy also liked to say he could pop the cyst off a cysty pig at 100 paces with his eyes closed.
What was Gorgon like in its heyday?
Frenetic, chaotic, vicious, take your pick. I wasn't here at the start, but going off what folks told me about the early days, Gorgon started out with promise. The board's best and brightest were excited to work here, said it was a good posting. The project director had a vision and big, bold ideas.
And then?
Nothing good lasts long in Halcyon. Thing is, the schedules coming out of the corporate office were unrealistic from the get-go, and they were trying to do the project on a shoestring budget. Couple that with the obvious personnel problems and toxic junk in the product, it was only a matter of time before it all went to hell.
How did the Marauders enter the picture?
Sprat Shack legend has it they crawled out of the mines one day. Heard one fella suggest they might even be aliens.
What do you think?
I think Halcyon wants us dead. Look at Monarch. The planet's pure poison. Folks can't eat the food that grows on Terra 2 without getting sick. Who's to say it's not something in the dirt or the water? I don't have proof, mind. It's just a hunch.
Gorgon's a ruin now. What sent it over the edge?
Shit, any number of things. Fire, primals, sabotage. It didn't happen all at once, but it happened fast enough folks couldn't respond in time. Now, if you're asking how it all kicked off, might have been spies that did it. Corporate espionage, you know, anti-Cleos. I never did figure it out. Not about to try now.
Spacer's Choice won't let you leave until you deliver the recordings?
Oh, I've tried. Make no mistake. I've caught a couple of rides out with sublight folks, but the board's fixers always send me right back. And I'm not about to stand toe-to-toe with marauders just to fulfill a line item on a contract.
Why did you even bother stashing the recordings?
Someone had been trying to steal them since the day my assistant and I started interviewing. Couldn't even keep them in my safe. They always found a way in. So I took to hiding them all over the fucking asteroid. Thought I was so clever. What a fool I was.
You must have talked to a lot of staff around here. What were they working on?
Adrenatime. I'm sure you know it. Was a drug, something to make folks work harder, work smarter. Had a lot of nasty side effects. Didn't seem so bad to me at the time, but then I hadn't met the test subjects yet. The whole thing was real hush-hush. A lot of worry about corporate spies, especially from anti-Cleos. I probably shouldn't even be mentioning it to you, to be honest. Spacer's Choice? They're really not fond of spies.
Who is?
Fair point. Not even spies like spies.
What do you know about the senior researchers?
Not much, except that there was a whole gaggle of them, and so far as I could tell, they absolutely hated each other. Dr. Ambrose would hardly let me speak to any of them, but she complained about him all the time.
What did she complain about?
Everything, seemed like. Marion Blakesley, for example, lady who ran HIA, wouldn't return any of her messages. Not once, for years. Jasper Lowe, guy who headed up Chem, was high more than he was sober. He insisted on running special tests on primals, too. Law knows what for.
Anyone else?
Dr. Ambrose really had it out for this guy Lawrence Goodfellow. Ran OCI. Would lose his shit if he saw red on a schedule. By the end, I heard folks were turning in completely bunk progress reports just to keep him out of their hair. Had this little minion, too. An actuary named Clarence Mosley. Obsessed with quantifying every detail of his sad little life. Mosley was the guy who got me mixed up in all this. Asshole. I hope a primal ate him.
So there was tension between the researchers.
Oh yeah, it wasn't just that Dr. Ambrose hated them. They seemed to hate each other too. OCI pushed a ludicrous schedule. Chem made a bad product, and HIA returned garbage results. A regular merry-go-round of shit flying in every direction. It's no surprise it all fell apart.
Sounds like half the crews I run with. Not this one, of course.
Mister, I'm not about to tell you how to do your job, but I ain't think that metaphor's fit to print.
Editor always did say my prose was a bit purple. Or brown, in this case. Not a problem. Anything else? Of course, I won't be going anywhere, so, you know, take your time.
What have you got there?
Adrenatime, I think. Found some in an old busted crate.
You're just gonna take some drug you found in the garbage?
It's not some drug. It's adrenatime.
I don't see a label.
If it wasn't safe, it wouldn't be in a syringe.
I can't argue with that.
Well, that's not him, because he still has 2 arms, so it's just someone else using his bed. And also asleep, not dead. Wait, this isn't even the place, right? Or is it? Note about the key. Several whiskeys in and a few bits short last night. Gave Lex the maintenance room key while I scrounge up what's owed. Note to self, pay up and get it back before you get back to OCI. Day 1. Space's Choice may have left in a hurry, but they didn't forget to lock the door on the way out. Most of the facilities are sealed up tighter than a top ranger's safe. Time to do some digging. Day 6. Caught a break today. Met a scavenger who claims to be a salesman for Space's Choice. Sold me a key to the Office of Creative Incubation. Let's say that this guy is about as lucid as a sprat in a Rizzo's factory, but I'm spending Minis bits, so I can afford to take a chance. It worked. Clearance. Clearance mostly, whoever you are. I am drinking to you tonight. Olivia Ambrose's office and journal ought to be in the Synthesis and Manufactory Center. The bad news is that it's sealed and at an ass end of the canyon. The good news is that I should be able to open it from the Bigwig's admin terminal in OCI. OCI is crawling with marauders. I've got a few other leads to chase down. Could be nothing, but my gut is telling me that there's more to this place than a missing journal. Time to turn over a few rocks and see what crawls out. I'm leaving the OCI key in the safe. The combo is 4015.
As a medical professional, I gotta say, that is very well preserved and disgusting.
I think they stick the preservative in before or after the eye comes out.
To be honest, I wasn't even paying attention to what it is that I picked up. You found an eyeball in Lucky's room that apparently grants access to the Office of Creative Incubation on Gorgon. According to Lucky's notes, the administrative terminal should unseal the way to Olivia Ambrose's office. Right.
Don't you worry, Mr. Lucky Spirit. We're gonna finish your work and put you to rest, good and proper.
I'm just hoping we don't need Lucky's arm to open something else.
Okay.
Didn't I request no more fertilizer shipments be brought on board? Who keeps ordering these?
Okay, this episode has been long enough, so I'm going to save and end it now. That's all for this one, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!